Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Real Wisdom Artificial Intelligence. So today is July 27th. It is also a Monday. I will write a newsletter. It will likely be around the theme that I'm going to cover now in the dose of Rashmi. So there is also an idea around the evolution of what I've been calling the integrated intelligence architecture and how that works at the three layers: individual, organizational, as well as societal. So I may write about that, or I might focus on the theme that is there in today's dose of Rashmi. So now let's go ahead, get started for today. Today's dose of Rashmi is logical intellect. It is effectively a tool to grow through transactions. Integrated intelligence, on the other hand, expands through inclusion. So as I arrived at this dose of Rashmi, based on my usual practice of a quote by Sadhguru, a famous quote by Dr. Wayne Dwyer that I picked up from his book, The Awareness Zones, about a decade or 12 years back, came to my mind. The quote is Dr. Dwyer's definition of love. And he defines love as the ability and willingness to let someone you care for choose their own path without the expectation that they satisfy you or your expectations. So if you closely absorb that definition of love, what most of us consider as love is really not love, because it is really a transaction. We always expect whoever we are in a relationship to be a certain way. We don't necessarily let that person be. Real, true love is when you are complete by yourself, and you're not looking for anything from someone or something external to complete you. At that point, you can let the other person just be. And that only comes from what I have been talking about as the core philosophy in this series. In Is the Way Out, the secret ingredient is you. When you know that, then you can let whoever you're in a relationship, whether at the individual, organizational, or an ecosystem level, just be without expecting them to satisfy you. That would be approaching the universe with love and trust. So at the individual level, I think you get the essence of that. Now, at the organizational level, and this is where many of the corporate leaders, when they talk about that, okay, our company is like a family, and yet in a money first world, when time comes to balance the P&Ls, etc., it's not really a family. It does become transactional. And even in terms of how we approach any corporate role, there is a well set role the organization wants somebody to do, and the individual then interviews to impress upon the organization that they are the best person suited to that role, even though they may have a lot more to offer, but they try to fit themselves into that role. That is the entire nature of how the modern corporates work. And I think that is where, if you go back to the secret ingredient is you philosophy, then this entire notion of you trying to fit yourself into a role defined by a corporation and just perform that repetitive task is inherently not human. And for that type of a repetitive task, that is the wonderful gift that AI gives us now. We have the ability to deploy AI to do those type of roles and let humans be. And that would only happen if an organization is operating with the philosophy that the secret ingredient is the organization and the collective set of humans and the AI, that is the organization. And if it is operating from that place, then it can let every human be without an expectation of that this human has to perform this particular role. And that is the inversion of how the modern day corporate culture works, and what I talked about yesterday, that in the future, in the post-AI era, you should be the one finding an organization that is aligned with you and that lets you be you, versus the organization trying to interview you for a specific role that they have defined. And that is the inversion that I foresee that can come about if the organization is truly operating from the principle the secret ingredient is you. And the same philosophy now extends at the ecosystem level. If you think about all these agreements, treaties, etc., across different corporations, different nation states, and we all see how fragile they are. That leads to all types of conflicts with the regime changes, with some other external changes that neither of the parties controls. And that is where, at the ecosystem level, if each organization first is operating from the principle that they are whole as they are, and the ecosystem is a collection of such organizations where absolutely seek collaboration, seek the opportunity to work together to truly expand and grow from a place where you are whole and you are not necessarily seeking something from somebody else in the ecosystem. You are all aligned on the purpose and growing towards a collective shared purpose. Those are the ecosystems that we are trying to build through seeds and the green intelligence movement. And over there, it's the idea is absolutely grow by expanding by inclusion. And as I talked about a few days back in another dose of Rashmi, that has been the realization for us as we are approaching more and more stakeholders through seeds and the green intelligence movement. Almost everybody wants to be a part of the green intelligence movement. And when we started off, we are looking at people outside of our core team as external customers and stakeholders. However, it has become clear that it is a platform and a movement that we are building. So everybody who is aligned on the core purpose and shares the core purpose is actually part of the movement. They are not external to the movement. And that is how we are expanding through inclusion and the core mantra behind today's dose of Rashmi. Thank you.